It's a Machine Embroidery's live session here on Facebook. I'm glad you joined me. You know, I've been sharing tips for 20 years on machine embroidery, and today I'm going to share some more. That's all we do here at Dime is talk about machine embroidery. I hope in your sewing room you have a dedicated area for hooping, like I do, and I call it my hooping throne. So before we get started on the hooping throne, I want to show you a couple examples of two doors that came in. So you remember last week we had so much fun showcasing the January door, which is right over here behind me, or the other side. And but here, we'll share the two viewers who sent in images of their doors. So as you can see on the left, we have a blue door with blue skis. So I'm not sure if this viewer's house has a blue door, but it could be, right? That's a great way to personalize it. And then on the right, we have someone who did it in beige, and she added a kitty cat to her stoop. So I imagine that's what's in her house. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining us. Oh, and Katrina from Norway, thanks for joining us here today. It's not too stormy here in Texas as it is in Norway. We're actually enjoying pretty warm weather. It's about 65 degrees here. So Karina and Julie, have you started your doors? Have you had an opportunity to download that design? Because the design is still available over on my blog, which is dzgns.com/blog. And you can download that through the whole month of January. And we really want to see examples like the two that I'm showing right here. So I love the kitty cat that she added to her stoop, and she found a coordinating wreath, and her red door really pops. I think they did a great job. So we're super excited to see these starting to come in. And each week we'll be sharing other versions to inspire you for, you know, your own doors. So let's go now to share my tips on today, which is going to be about hooping and where you do it and how you do it, right? So in my home, I have a very large cutting table. And on one corner of the cutting table, I have an area that I call my hooping throne. And what's on there is a non-slip hoop mat. This is our Dime hoop mat, and I love this because it has a grid and it's a bright color, so I can see the grid through my stabilizer when that's important. But the best part about it is no matter if I put the metal frame of a magnetic hoop down or a standard outer ring of, you know, of a standard hoop, it won't slide, it doesn't wiggle, and I love that. So that's what's really important. Oh, Karina, you have downloaded it, but you haven't started it. Hi, Isabella. Thank you for joining us from France. Wow, we have people from all over the world. Isn't that exciting? And Jojo in Minnesota, I know it's cold up there. And you have the hoop mat and love it. I know. What did we do before the hoop mat? Well, I know I used shelf liner, which was kind of clunky, and I couldn't put a grid on it. So I'm really happy to have this new mat. What else I have on my hooping throne is PAL 2, which is the laser. So this has a crosshair, a red crosshair that illuminates on top of my mat and allows me to see that crosshair on all colors of fabric and most certainly on white stabilizer. So we'll move over to the other camera in a moment so I can show you a close-up look at that. But also in my studio, at home, I have the embroiderer's compass, and I just put a little metal chain on it. You most certainly could put a ribbon on it. And I hang it from that little knob on PAL. And then I also have a large centering ruler that comes in our embroidery toolkit. And I put that there. This way, those two tools are always where they, you know, where they should be, and I can find them very easily. That's really important. So, hey, if you already have the hoop mat or if you already have a designated area in your sewing room, give us a thumbs up so we know that we're kind of on the same path here. We would appreciate that. It helps us stay on track and know that we're talking about the right topics that everybody's interested in. And of course, we're live here on Facebook Live, but if you subscribe to YouTube, we're also live over there. And if you subscribe to YouTube, you'll get notice of when we go live. So I think maybe it's time to move over to the other camera so I can talk to you about how to use PAL with the hoop mat and then also how to do moldables, right? Isn't that the challenge when you want to make a set of napkins or maybe towels and you want them all to match the placement, right? So, several years ago, my friend Deborah Jones, who you've met here on Dime, she developed the perfect placement kit with me. And what she did was, she's a commercial embroiderer, right? At heart, that's where she started on that side. So she contacted commercial embroiderers across America and found what the common designated area on a hand towel, a bath towel, napkins, left chest, all of those common items that we embroider on. And she made item templates for them. And I use them all the time when I'm doing gifts. And, during the fall, we did our 10 top gifts for Christmas, and I did not include napkins because I don't normally give them at Christmas time. I reserve that as a hostess gift when I visit someone or, a follow-up visit and mail them. Imagine getting, a box of 12 napkins monogrammed with your letter. Oh, that's so touching, I think. It's kind of a formal thing, but, occasionally it's nice to pull them out on a special occasion. So let's head over to the tight camera so you can get a good look exactly what I'm talking about. And Karina, your biggest fear is making more than one. Yeah, getting them to match. My fear too. All right, I'm heading over. Okay, so we're going to lower down those lights a little bit so you can get a good look. Now here is our napkin on point template. And you'll notice it has a hole in the center with a crosshair. It also has an alignment mark, and it tells you that that's where the napkin edge should be. So I'm going to place that right on the napkin edge of the edge of the napkin. Now, napkins don't necessarily have, perfect corners. So you would just center it as best you can along that edge. And then you place your target sticker with the arrow pointing towards the body of the napkin. And I'm going to do 6 of these so quick. So I just lay it down, target sticker in place. Make sure the target sticker is straight. And, the hardest part about any embroidery project is getting started. It's the planning and getting started. So once I have these target stickers in place, if I then go and get interrupted, have to go make dinner, drive someone, to a doctor's appointment or what have you, when I come back, I know exactly what I plan to do. So I can just get right back onto my project. And, that's a little skill that I learned from my good friend Nancy Zeman. She was known for breaking down complex projects into 10, 20, 30-minute segments, right? She wrote several books on that. And embroidery placement, most certainly, is one of those tasks where you have to break it down. You don't always get that big block of time to finish it. Okay, so now I have my 6 done. Now it's time to hoop. Now, I know many people like to use sticky stabilizer. They don't even like to hoop. So I get that. That's fine. What I make sure I do on my standard hoops is I mark those little raised marks that are those nodules that are on the center vertical and horizontal places on the hoop so that I can see them. Then I take my PAL. Now here I have this small PAL, and I'm aligning that with the grid just because it's just helpful to have. Then I take my hooped sticky stabilizer and place that hoop right underneath of the beam, aligning the beam with the marks on the hoop. And then I take my template, my napkin, and I place that right underneath, smooth it in place, aligning the crosshair on the target sticker with the beam. And then when I take that to the machine and center my needle right over the target sticker, it comes out flawlessly. And I would repeat that for every single one. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we would do on a magnetic hoop. So again, I put that down and then I make sure that it's aligned with the beam, and notice it's not going to move. I can, just kind of push on it and it won't move. I love that. Then I take my stabilizer and now in a magnetic hoop, I don't use the sticky. I would just use a wash away, tear away. And the center of my hoop is designated by that crosshair. So I take my napkin and I position that right over that crosshair. And then I take my top frame and I would just align that bottom portion of the top frame with the metal frame, and there I have it. And now I can pull and tug on that if I want just a little bit and take that over to the machine, center my needle, and I'm ready to go. Isn't that great? Now that's how you do one napkin in a magnetic hoop and 1 napkin in a sticky hoop. But what are you going to do when you have 3 or 4 or 6? Let's go back over to the other camera so you can see how I would do that on a larger hoop. And I call this speed hooping. So, you know, sometimes you're going to a bridal shower at 1 o'clock and you still don't have a gift at 10 in the morning, right? So you think, well, I'll do a set of six napkins. And it can work out really well. So I hoop a big piece of sticky stabilizer. Actually, I always use not always, but the piece and stitch, which is a tearaway, wash away stabilizer. And I use tape. So I'm going to show you over here on a close-up image. So if we could just share the screen here, you'll get a better look. So here's 3 attractive linen napkins that I did several years ago when appearing on Sewing with Nancy, and the cute little watermelon. And so we did 3 of those in 1 5x7 hoop. And of course, I used my template. And I taped my napkin onto the hoop. And I did that because I could use a basting file to hold it down. I just needed it to stay in place for a moment. And since the target sticker was designating the area, it wasn't a concern. And then I pull back that point, that excess fabric on the napkin, and I tape it onto the rest of the napkin. So now I have exposed some of the stabilizer, leaving room for another napkin. And I placed my second napkin in the open area, center the needle over the target sticker, and stitch that design. And for the third one, I would then repeat the same process. And I always work from the back of the hoop on a single needle machine because that keeps all those napkins out of harm's way. And so there you have it, a tiny little decoration on a napkin. But how about if we want to do 6 in a bigger hoop? So now I'm going to show you on a multi-needle hoop, but it would be the very same in a large, like 8x12 hoop on a single needle machine. So I've already stitched 2 of the napkins at the far end of the hoop. So if you're on a single needle machine, that would be towards the top of the hoop or the back of the hoop. And again, you'll see there's a basting file there, and I've stitched the monogram. And then I peel back that excess fabric and tape it down out of harm's way, exposing more stabilizer. And then I add 1 more napkin and stitch that, fold that back out of the way, and add the 4th napkin. And again, fold that out of the way, and make sure you tape it down because you really don't want to catch a corner, you know, in the next monogram. So just keep it out of harm's way. And then you're going to do napkin 5 and napkin 6. Isn't that great? And literally, you know, whatever amount of time the one monogram takes. So, you know, when you bring it up on your machine, it may say 6 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. Monograms are pretty quick, especially at that size. So you're going to do 6 of them in about 30 minutes. So that is really a fun, fast technique to do in a hoop. So let's see. Amelia, you say, why didn't you think of that? Well, you probably would have if you've made as many mistakes as I have, or if all you do is think about embroidery like me. So it's just a matter of time before you would have got that idea too. Let's see. And you're in Harrisburg, Marianne. That's great. Does the light work with any embroidery machines? Yes, it doesn't really have anything to do with the machine. What it's telling you is where the center of, you know, it's designating the center. So whether that's on an item or on the hoop itself, wherever you want to display that beam, that's where it's placing that center. So it's, you know, it's really handy, really helpful to have. Let's see. That's Karina. That's what she does when she's sticking on mittens, so that she saves on stabilizer. Well, that's smart. Yeah, I mean, because stabilizer is expensive and it's wasteful to hoop a big piece of stabilizer for one small monogram. So it's best to use as many as you can. So the other templates that come in that perfect placement kit are towels. Specifically, I use it for towels. So it comes in a template for a hand towel with a border or without a border. So without a border would be probably most of your kitchen towels. And the bath towels comes also with and without a border. And that way the whole set matches. And you know, It's, you're supposed to hang your towels with the hand towels folded into center and folded into thirds, and the hand and bath towel all folded into thirds, and then center the hand towel over the bath towel and hang that over the rack. So if it's not all, if the placement on the embroidery is crooked, it's kind of glaring. So it's important to, make it look beautiful. I know I've made them for, brides, and then I go to the young bride's house later on and I look at my towels and like they're kind of crooked. So I was really motivated to team up with Deborah Jones to make a product that would enable all of us to always have perfect placement and get it nice and straight. Can you measure? Sure, you could use a ruler and measure. But, it's really fast to just use an item template and drop it down on the item and just repeat that over and over. So that's what I've been using for a long time. Oh, Tina, you're hoping to see me in Puyallup this year. Yeah, no, I don't think I'll make Puyallup. But speaking of Washington State, we have one of our top educators, Ashley Jones, is heading up your way on January 23rd to Mount Vernon, Washington, and she'll be teaching our lace, camo, and lace event at Quality Sewing. She's going to be in Mount Vernon on the 23rd of January, and then over to Olympia on the 25th. So that's, and Ashley is brilliant. I mean, boy, she's really a fantastic presenter. She will share all of her tips, and she's going to cover lace techniques, mylar, metallics, stitching with variegated thread, puffy foam. It's a really fun specialty technique class, and I think that's pretty cool. And also, but before that, Ashley is actually going to be up in New York State at Lake Aurora, at Aurora Sewing Center in Aurora, New York. We're excited about that. And February 7th and 8th, we have Cheryl Burnett going to Portland to the Save Store. She's going to be doing a Stitch Lab event, which is a hands-on. And I will be in Las Vegas on February 13th and 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, right? At Quiltique. Quiltique is a fabulous store in Nevada. If you ever get the chance, if you're downtown on the Strip, it's worth getting in a cab and going out to Quiltique. It's a beautiful store. And I'm teaming up with one of our other top educators, Lisa Knight. She's going to be presenting our lace event, and I'm going to come in and, add a little chaos, I guess, to her spectacular event. But I'm excited to go back and see my friends there. Speaking of friends, I want to share with you two really cool things. So we're going to go back over to the tight camera, and I want to show you something that one of my friends recently sent. I'm going to turn this off. So my good friend Joanne Banco, who wrote a book for Dime, she just mailed me this most beautiful stitched thank you note. How nice is that? Have you ever taken the time to do this? To actually go, so this is stitched on felt, and it's all made on her Luminaire, I'm sure. And then she just taped a really beautiful personal note in there, signed in her precious handwriting. I was so touched when I received that. She's a lovely lady, Joanne Banco. So if you ever get a chance to see her in person, you should do so, because she's very talented. And then I have another dear friend, Richards Jardin, who owns Embroidery Arts, a premier lettering design company in America. And he has shared these, his collection of these hand-embroidered linen handkerchiefs. Are these magnificent? So I just thought I would share these two with you today so you could see how sweet they are. So all these fine little stitches were all done by hand. Can you imagine? I like to look at these and use them as inspiration for my machine embroidery. So I would be on the lookout for a letter that emulates this, and then delicate little floral designs. And there's even a little bit of cut work in here. This is the kind of cut work that I could manage because it's small and it doesn't take that much time to cut it out. So, we can always be inspired by other people and by history also. So, if you're one who's a little bit more modern and you like to wear fashions that, are just current, don't hesitate to visit, a thrift store or an antique shop and kind of look at the old style of handwork. We can learn so much from them. And if you are a digitizer or trying to bone up on your skills on digitizing, they are a great source of inspiration. Oh, and Teresa, you're going to a lace event in February in Jacksonville. Oh, good for you. That'll be awesome. You'll love that. Let's see. And Sue Brown, you're going to be doing a sew along for the gorgeous door hanger this weekend on YouTube. That's great. Well, we're super excited to have you participate in that. So I'm sure that you'll share images of your participants, and then we'll share them next week also. And let's see. Quality Sewing in Ithaca, Amelia Stark. No, not in Ithaca. We've already done a really great lace event at Ithaca this summer. So this is going to be a little bit further away in Mount Vernon and in Olympia at Quality Sewing. So let's see. Dang it. You missed the beginning. Susan Tucker will be available to watch later. Yes, you can always go back here to Facebook and watch this. You know, it's always up there. So you can just go to live videos and click on that and you'll see the whole list. And Marion, you just bought the hooping mat and you love it. I know. What did we do before without it? I do love it. Do we sell the PAL? Yeah, Charlene, we do sell the PAL. It comes in two versions, this tall one, which is PAL 2. Now, PAL 2 is great because it gives you a long beam. And the only reason why it gives you a long beam is because of the height. So you can bring it down to make it a small beam, or you can raise it up to make it even larger, even longer. And on the small PAL, you can also do that. You can raise it on a box or something, but we just made two versions. So, and they both do the same thing. But I know in my home, I like this one because it stays in place. I don't have to go looking for it. And it's always aligned with my mat underneath. And, you know, I love using it for continuous embroidery. And we will tackle that in a future live session. So that, and you'll really enjoy learning that technique. But if you go to one of our events, you actually get to participate in that. You know, you get to play with our hoops, you get to play with our techniques because we bring stitch samples and templates and so forth. So you can really get a hands-on experience with that. So I hope that you'll, you know, join us at an event because we love seeing you there. And our dealers, we wouldn't be here without our sewing machine retailers. So we hope that you continue to support them. Oh, and Esther, you're signed up on the 23rd. You can't wait. Well, you're good. You're lucky. You're going to have Ashley there, and she is awesome for sure. In fact, all of our educators were just here for training for 3 days, Monday through Wednesday. And we had a great visit with them. I always learn so much from them. And, you know, selfishly, I asked them, please bring your top 10 samples so we can take a look at them. And they're so inspiring. We always see new ideas, new techniques with our products that we never even thought of. So, and we'll be sharing them with you too. But if you go to an event, you most certainly get to see them. Do we come to South Carolina? I don't know that we have anything on our books right now, but you can look at another website of ours, which is Inspired by Dime. And if you go there and just click on socials and events, you'll find our whole calendar of events coming up there. So it's a good reference for you. And you can always, if you just go to our main website, dzgns.com, you can also access that calendar there. So I really appreciate you spending today with us. And we look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to talk about more embroidery because that's all we do here. So we hope you have a great week. Thanks for joining me.